you can use Google Maps to create custom maps of a defined area where you can add your own points of interest, areas of interest, as well as driving directions and routes within those maps. And that's through a feature called Google My Maps. And here's how we're going to get there. Open up a new tab, type in mymaps.google.com. And up at the top here, there's a button called Explore. I just want to demonstrate quickly some of the things that you can do with these maps. Here, someone has made a map of Bigfoot and UFO sightings. That's interesting. Over here is an interactive map of the Lewis and Clark journey. So when I open this up, I can see all these little icons that have been placed here. The yellow tabs in this case are journal entries from Lewis and Clark's journal. So you can click through and see what they were thinking as they traveled. The white little human being icons here are people groups that they encountered. And there's some other symbols you can look around there as well. Another really interesting map that's been created here is a historical tour of Boston. And you'll see a number of features on this one. First of all, there's a route. So here is kind of like directions from point A to point B. So you can include that in your maps. There are also some icons here that can be clicked on. And so you've got an icon to click on, you get a description and a picture. We can zoom in here, we can see here is the old State House building and some other ones in there. There's also some defined areas. So you've got a geographical area that's marked off by this box in a dark color. You click on that, you can see that is the Bunker Hill Battleground area. And so there's a couple more areas like that on this map. So let's go ahead and create a map, and we're going to do three things. We're going to add markers to the map, we're going to add lines and areas to the map, and then we're going to add driving directions to the map. Click on Create a New Map, and right away you get a map of the United States. Over here on the left is the information panel that includes the name and description of the map and all the different layers and items in your map. So this is where you'll be adding and deleting things from your map. Let's go ahead and give our map a name. SCSD info map. And we can add a description there if we want to. And I'll click Save. Okay, so there's our information at the top. Right underneath that, we have three buttons. We have Add Layer, we have Share, and we have Preview. And we'll be coming back to those a little bit later. Right now, we're going to look at this first layer, which is called Untitled Layer. So I'm going to click on the words Untitled Layer and change the name. And we'll call this one School Buildings. And I'll click Save. Okay, there's an option to import data from a spreadsheet. And I'm going to demonstrate that in another video. So we're going to ignore that for now. And we're going to zoom into the Stanwood School District and start adding some items on our map. So in the search box here, I'm just going to type in Stanwood, Washington. And that will zoom us right in. One thing it does when you use the search bar to find something is it adds a pin to your map automatically. So you can see that here it is, it says Stanwood. Now, that's a nice feature. I don't actually want that right now, so I'm going to click the X here on the left and delete that. Okay, so the purpose of this layer in our map is to identify all the buildings, and I'm not going to do the whole district, but I'll just do a few of the schools up here. So we'll go to the high school. And to add a marker, I'm going to click on this button right there. And then I'll place the marker right here. And we'll call this one SHS. And I'll click Save. Okay, so now my marker is on the map. You can see over here, there's the blue marker there. If I don't like that color, I can click the paint bucket and pick a different color. I can also pick a different icon. And if you click More Icons, there are more icons. But I'm going to cancel out of that and just go back to where we were before. So I'm going to leave that as a blue pin, and we'll be good with that. The pencil button lets you edit the name or description and change the words there. If I want to add a photo, I can click this picture here. You can also add video clips, but I'll just do a Google image search, and I'll type in Stanwood High School. And here's a nice picture. I'll click on that one and select it, and there's a picture of our school, and I'll save that. Okay. So what I'm going to do real quick here is I'm just going to add pins, markers for each of the school buildings in this part of our town, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about that. All right, so far on my map, I have one layer called school buildings, and I have each of these little pins here, which are identified as the buildings in this part of our town. And so if I click on any one of these, I can get information, I see a picture, and so that's how that works. You can identify geographic areas, so you can draw a box or a shape around part of the land. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the school district property around each one of these buildings there. But I'm going to do that on a separate layer so that it can be turned on and off without affecting these pins here. So here's how we'll do that. Let me zoom in on the Stanwood High School area. And I'm going to click on Draw a Line. But I'm going to do Add Line or Shape. And I'm just going to click around the area here. Okay, once I've clicked around my area, I close it off by clicking back on the start point. We'll call this one SHS Property. And again, you can add a picture or whatever description. I'm going to click Save. And this time, if you change a color, it affects the whole area. And you have also the option for how transparent you want it to be. So you can make it darker or lighter. And you can also affect the width of the border. And so we're just going to leave that where that was. But so that is good, and I will close this out. So I'm going to quickly do that for each of the properties, and then we'll talk about how to separate that out into different layers. Okay, at this point I've added property outlines for each of the building areas there. And so, you know, in a school project you could use this to designate historical battle areas or nation boundaries or things like that. But right now all of these are on one layer, and so I'd like to split these out so that the properties are on a separate layer. And so to do that, I'm going to click Add Layer, and then right down here you'll see there's a new layer called Untitled Layer. I'm going to click on the title, and we'll call this one District Property. Okay, to add these areas down to my second layer, I'm just going to click and drag each one down until it shows up on the layer there. Okay, so visually the map doesn't look any different, but now I have these different layers, so I can turn one on and off. I can look at only the pins, or I can look at only the property outlines, and that's how that works. If I want to add something more to a layer, just make sure that you click on that layer. Whatever layer you're clicked on, that's which layer, and you can see there's a little blue bar here that shows up. That's which layer the new thing will show up on. So if I click down here on District Property and then I add a pin, it shows up under District Property. So just be aware that's how that works. Okay, the third and final thing that I'll show you about adding things is a driving direction route. I can choose to draw a line and go to Add Driving Route. And what I can do, just to demonstrate how this works, is I can zoom in here on the middle school, and I'll click here, and then see as I move my mouse, it tries to follow the best route. Maybe we'll just go over here to Stanwood Elementary School. If you double click, then that ends the route, and there is my route. So from A to B, and it gives the address right there. And that's on its own layer as well, so I can delete that or turn it on or turn it off. Now another way to do directions that a lot of times is a little better for labeling purposes is just to click on the Add Directions button, and that automatically creates another layer. So we'll go here, point A, I'll just type in Stanwood High School, and then I'll choose from the list, the one that's got its address listed there, and then I'll say Port Susan Middle School, and then it automatically plugs in that route. I don't have to draw it, and so that's a nice way to do that as well. Okay, you can rename the layer. It renamed it according to the directions here. Okay, so what do you do with a map like that? Well, you want to share it. So I'm going to click Share. And you can't generate a link for the map. The link would only work for people who have the ability to edit the map. But what I could do is put in email addresses here and give them view permissions, and then they can see the map and move around and look at it. Now, what are they going to see when they open up your map? What they're going to see is what you'll see in preview mode. So if I click on preview, here is what the map looks like. And so you can see the title of the map is up here, the description is here. They can share the map Google+, Facebook, Twitter, email, or embedded on a website. School buildings here, you can see all those. If I click on one of those, it shows me it on the map, and then it shows me the picture and any description I've listed there. You can also click on the pins directly. So there's Lincoln Hill, and here is Port Susan, and here is Twin City. Okay, so I'll go back here, and you can turn that layer off with the checkbox. We can look at the district property, or we can turn that off. We can look at the directions, and that's how the map works. Okay, so that is how you can create custom maps in Google My Maps. One quick note, you can also create a new map directly from Drive. So if you're in Google Drive, you can go New, More, Google My Maps. That'll create a map. Your maps are saved in Google Drive, so you can see right there. Here is the map we just created, so I can double click that, and it opens up ready to be edited.